Hi. Dyson have made quite a few different models over the years, and if you are thinking of buying a Dyson cordless vacuum, then it can be quite confusing which one to go for. So what I want to do in this video is to show you the difference basically between the V6, the V7, the V8, the V10, and at the time of making this video, the new V11 on the end there. And what I want to do is to go through some of the different specifications, how they vary, and also want to do some tests to see how well they perform against each other. So I've got them all charged up. Let's have a look. Now if you are thinking of buying a cordless vacuum, then one of the most important things to think about is the runtime of the vacuum. And that's basically how long can you vacuum before you have to put it on to recharge. So as you go through the range, they do vary a lot. So we start off with a V6, and this has a 20-minute runtime. And any of these that I quote will be the minimum suction. So as you go up to the maximum suction, where the performance is a lot better, then the runtime really is reduced. So what you'll find is you've got 20 minutes on the V6, you've got 30 minutes on the V7, the V8 has got 40 minutes, and as you go to the V10 and the V11, then you've actually got 60 minutes. So on these you can vacuum for around an hour before you have to recharge it, compared to 20 minutes on the V6. Now what you will find is that you have got different power levels. So on the V6 and the V7 and the V8, then you've actually got two power levels, which means you've got a maximum and a minimum suction. Whereas when you go up to the V10 and the V11, then you've got three different levels. And that can be good, because what you'll find is sometimes you don't need the maximum suction, but you want something a bit better than the minimum. So to have a medium setting, and it's by a toggle switch on here on the V10, and on the back of the V11 you've actually got a little switch, and I'll show you that in a moment. But that's just really a rundown as to the run times on the vacuums. So what I view as quite another important factor is how long it takes to recharge the vacuum after it's gone flat. So if you are doing, say, a big house and you want to recharge the vacuum, then you will want to do it fairly quickly. And basically across the range, so across the V6, V7, V8 and V10, you're looking at around 3.5 hours to recharge from it being completely flat. The V11, this will take slightly longer. This takes about 4 to 4.5 hours. That's mainly because the capacity of the battery is slightly bigger. And although the suction should be better on this one, the main downside is it can take a bit longer to recharge. What you will find, quite a few of these do come with wall brackets, so just check on the individual models, but really I'd recommend going for one with a wall bracket, because what you can find, when you come to put it on the bracket, it will charge and it just keeps it out of the way. So it's so much easier than having to lean it up against the wall and risk it falling over. So as we start off with the V6, this has a capacity of 0.4 litres. The V7 and the V8 have a capacity of 0.54 litres. And then as you go up to the V10 and the V11, they have capacity of 0.76 litres. So if you compare them over the years, they have increased the capacity of the bins. And what that means is that if you're comparing 0.4 litres to 0.76, that's almost twice the capacity, which can make a big difference. But what you can also find, because these are clearly bigger vacuums, then they can be slightly heavier. Now for some people, the weight of the vacuum is also really important, and sometimes if you do suffer with your hands, if you have things like arthritis, then the weight of the vacuum can be the most important factor. So what I want to do, I know Dyson do produce the figures for the weight of the vacuum, but that does include the things like some of the accessories and the pole as well. But what I want to do is just compare the hand unit, because if you're using it, say, for the stairs, then if you're just using the handheld part and say the crevice tool, then that can be important. So I've got some scales and let's measure them all. So I hope I'm not too wobbly with this. I've taken the camera off the tripod, just try and make it a little bit easier. So let's start off with the V6, and hopefully you can see there, so 1,243 grams. And we go up to the V7, just over 1,400 grams. The V8 is 1575. So 1666 for the V10, and as we got to the V11, that one's 2 kilograms. So yeah, although the capacity is quite a lot bigger on the V10 and the V11, but you do find that the weight of the vacuum is a lot more. So again, if you're comparing the V11 compared to the V6, then it's not twice the weight, but you're going up from around 1300 grams to 2 kilograms on the V11. So another important factor when buying a cordless vacuum can be the noise level. And what I've done here is I've got all 5 lined up, and I've got an app on my phone that I can give hopefully some readings on. And what I'll do is I'll make it fair, so I'll do it from an even distance away. So let's see how noisy they are. And what I will do is I'll do it on the maximum suction as well. That was 76 decibels. 66. That's 70. 75. And 76. So just one quick thing, and I know it's not too relevant, but what you can find when you've got a cordless vacuum, it can be quite annoying if you don't know how much charge you've got left in the battery. Now, some of the vacuums, as you go to the V6 and the V7, they've got a little indicator there, so you know that that's basically with the indicator that it's got some charge in it. As you go to the V8, you've got a couple of LEDs there. So you've got 3 LEDs, and when you pull the trigger, then you know roughly how much charge is in it. And as you got to the V10, and again you've got 3 LEDs, and you've also got an indicator on there if the filter needs looking at. But as you go up to the V11, and I don't really want to dwell on this too much, but I have done a separate video about the V11, but on the back here it does show you accurately as to how long you've got left in the battery depending on the suction you're on. So if you're on the boost setting, which is the highest suction, then you will find it really reduces the time compared to the eco suction, and I will just quickly show you that. So it's just giving you a rough indication on the back. So on the eco setting, then you can get approximately 71 minutes. But that does vary on the type of floor you're on. So if you're on hardwood, then it could be around that. If you're on carpet, then that will be reduced quite a bit. Now, one of the tests I quite like to do is the rice in the glass test. And it's a little bit of a fun test, but what I try to do is to see how long it takes for the vacuum to suck all the rice up. And as you can see here, for each vacuum I've got the crevice tool, and basically this does come with every vacuum, each of the Dyson models. And what I'll do is I'm going to time it, and I'll normally give it a couple of goes each just to see how long it takes to empty the glass with the vacuum. So let's have a look. So the first one we'll do is the V6. So that was 3.33 seconds, so not a bad time. I'll give that another go, see if we can improve the time. So a little bit quicker, 3.07 seconds, and we'll give the V7 a go. So quite a bit quicker, 2.09 seconds. So we'll have another go, see if we can improve the time. So 2.35 seconds, so still not a bad time. Now onto the V8. So 2.62 seconds, so not a bad time, and we'll give that a second go, just see if we can improve that at all. So 2.81, so not quite as quick. So onto the V10. So 2.22 seconds, that was very quick, and we'll give that one a second go for the V10. So it's 1.83 seconds, so a little bit quicker, and onto the V11. So 1.83 seconds. I don't know if you noticed that, but it did seem to empty a lot quicker. Let's see what time we can get from the V11. So 1.51 seconds, so quite a bit quicker than the rest. And to be fair, I actually struggled to start and stop it because it was so quick. So pretty much as you go through the range, then the suction on the vacuums does get better. I normally quite enjoy doing that rice test. It's a little bit of fun, and to be fair, on the whole, normally that is the result, that as you go through the range, that it does suck the rice up from the glass a little bit quicker. And that really reflects in the air watts of the vacuums. And basically, the V6 and the V7 have got 100 air watts. The V8 has got 115, 150 for the V10, and then up to 185 for the V11. Now, something that you don't really find on different product videos is how easy they are to empty, and also how easy they are to take the bin off to clean and maintain it. Now on the V6, all of them are fairly easy, but they have different ways of doing it. On here, all you do is you press the red button and the flap drops open at the bottom, and to take the bin off you press it again and that unclips. So that's not too bad to be able to do that. For the V6, I have provided a link here to show you how to clean these properly, because it is important to keep any of the Dyson cordless vacuums clean, and I do really recommend giving them a good clean every now and then. For the V7 and the V8, I'll just cover this with this single model because it's exactly the same principle. On here you've got the handle on top, so it's completely different design, and you pull that and the flap drops open at the bottom, and basically to remove the bin you've got a button here, you've got one either side, so you just press one of them and that bit lifts out. And what you can do is you can clean all that, and I've provided another link here to show you how to clean the V7. And to remove the bin for cleaning purposes, you've got just under here you've got a little switch. That's it. So that removes like that, and that just gives you a sort of access to around the motor. Just give it a brush, and really with that you wouldn't want to do any more than that. And then to put that back together, that just slots back on like that. And then it just goes together like that. So again, that's the same for the V7 and the V8, so I won't cover both of them individually. And then as you go up to the V10, and to be fair the V11, because it's the same bin design, you've got a switch underneath here, and all you need to do is if you just push that. Sorry, I think I just missed that. So if you just push that down, and then you can see that drops open. And to take the bin off, it is very easy again. You've got a little switch under here, so just press that and then the whole bin comes off. And with any of these, you can use, say, a damp cloth to keep them clean, but for cleaning this properly I have provided a link here to show you how to do it. And I suppose with these, the main things are to get a brush, say a dry paintbrush or something, give it a quick clean, and then you can put the bin back on, and then you're ready to go. So something I haven't really covered are the tools and accessories they come with, and that's because within each range there are other sub-models as well. So for example, with the V6s and say the V8s, you've got the other models underneath that, like the animals, the absolute fluffy models, and there's a whole range of different vacuums that Dyson offer. And what you'll find is as you go to the absolute models, that you get extra tools compared to some of the other models in the range. But some of the key ones to look out for, things like the direct dry cleaner head are fairly standard with the majority of the vacuums. That's the ones that these have got on. But what you will find are, as you go up to some of the better models, you've got things like the flexible crevice tool, the up top tool, which can be good for getting up high. But I don't really want to cover that at the moment in the model comparisons. The other thing I haven't really concentrated on is the price of the vacuums. And clearly that could have a determining factor on which model you go for. What you tend to find is that as you go from, I mean this is at the moment, so this is in March 19, but on the whole for the V6 you're looking at around the £200 mark, for the V7 around the 250, the V8 is around 350, the V10 is around 450, and for the V11 you're looking around the £500 to £600 mark. And for a lot of people that can be the factor that determines which one you go for, because you're going up from about £200 to £600, which is a huge price difference, despite the performance being better. But really, if you're after the best vacuum, then you're always better to try and look into this end of the market, the V10, V11, because the performance is better on them. The capacity of the bin is bigger. The main downside is that they are a little bit noisier and they can be a little bit heavier, but there's always going to be a trade-off for better performance. If you are after something where you're not too fussed on the performance, if you've got say laminar floors around an apartment or flat, it's not that big, and runtime is not quite as important for you, then perhaps the V6 or the V7 is ideal. So I hope you've enjoyed this video on comparing the Dyson V6, V7, V8, V10 and the V11 cordless vacuums. Please give us a thumbs up, click subscribe on a YouTube video. I have provided some links below to show you where to get these at competitive prices. Thanks for watching.